All glory to God. Welcome into the channel. My name is Raul, if you don't know me by now. So I'm sitting here with the brand new MPC Key 37. Thanks to Sounds who sent it out to me so I can check it out. I'm really excited about it. So I wanted to review this from my perspective. It's been nearly 20 years, probably 19 years since I bought my first MPC. And it was the blue body with the red end caps, like the original MPC 1000. I'm feeling pretty nostalgic about the red. I wasn't feeling it at first, but it's starting to grow on me. But the reason I bring up the MPC 1000 is because the whole price point thing. I hear a lot of people around in the MPC community who probably already own MPC say that this isn't worth that. It isn't worth $899. So I wanted to look at it like from a reasonable perspective, from my perspective, from like 20 years ago, what an MPC 1000 could do and what it cost. Now, I don't exactly remember how much I paid. I think that I paid about $1,000 when I got it brand new. So, I did a little quick search, and what I did find was that it looks like the MPC 1000 when it was released went for $1,499. Now that's more than an MPC Live 2. I think that's even MPC Key 61 prices. And so if we think about it, the MPC One Plus is $699. This is the cheapest MPC. And I'm looking at the MPC One Plus price specifically because it's most comparable to the specs on the MPC Key 37. As far as the I/O goes, the same quality buttons, the same plastic, the same size pads. Yeah, so if you look at it basically, a lot of people are saying too, is that it's just an MPC One Plus with a keyboard attached. So you might as well just get a keyboard and attach it to an MPC One Plus, which makes sense if you own an MPC One. And it all comes down to preference. But if you really look at it, so I went ahead and looked at a few little keyboards that you can get to add to your MPC One Plus. You could get yourself an MPK Mini Plus 37 mini keys for $169. Now, if you were to add that up to $699 for the MPC One, the math on that equals $868, which is a $31 savings, right? It's not too huge of a difference. Maybe you'd be able to spend that $38 on, or $31 on maybe some sounds or something. Another option could be this, the KEYSTEP 37 by ARTURIA. And this is a $200 keyboard, $199, 37, also mini keys. So if you do the math on that, it equals $898. So you're really just saving $1 versus getting the MPC Key 37. And this is all pre-tax, right? And we're looking at new prices. So the difference is a dollar. You could get yourself one of these. It's the NOVATION LAUNCHKEY 37. So you have 37 keys, and these are full size. But this also goes for $199. So you're at the same math. You're at $898. $899 is the price of an MPC Key 37. So you can't say that AKAI doesn't know how to do business. Obviously, they're doing their research. They know the prices of what these keyboard controllers go for and what the value of, at least in the market and the competition, is for what you're getting. So yeah, it's worth $899 in this market. And if you look at, in the past, like an MPC 1000, like I brought up, was $1,499. Now these machines can do so much more. RAM is a whole nother subject too. It's one thing that people say about these new MPCs. They only got 2 gigabytes of RAM, which is like unacceptable according to the standard. But that standard is what you see inside of computers, laptops, that kind of deal. It's not a standard that exists in this because really there aren't any other, there's no one else like really competing with MPC. There's nothing that rivals the MPC as far as standalone machines go for full productions. Like you can really complete stuff in here, full songs, everything. That's what I've been doing. So until that day comes that someone really puts out a machine that is capable of doing what the MPC does, I don't really see AKAI feeling challenged to raise the specs on the RAM. And that's just what it is. So they can sell these at what they are. They can put 2 gigs in it. I understand the point, but it is what it is. And until that day comes, this is probably what we're going to see for a while. I wanted to speak on a little bit my thoughts on the overall build quality. When you first take it out the box, similar impression when I first unboxed the MPC One back in the day is I felt like it was a bit light. So I think there is some truth to build quality as far as that goes. I remember when I owned the MPC One, I also owned the MPC 500, and the MPC 500 itself felt built a lot more tough. I think Maybe it has to do with the metal body that they used to put those in. I really couldn't say if they were all made that way. I do know the 1000 had like a metal casing. These, I believe, are made of plastic. This thing is somewhat light. I would have hoped it to be a bit heavier, but it doesn't feel like cheap or anything. And to go back about the MPC One, I never had issues with the MPC One's build. I would take it around with me all the time. It was fine. It never broke on me. Never had any issues. It is light, but that's all right. And as far as portability, I'm going to go ahead and compare it to the MPC Live 2. The MPC Live 2 is significantly smaller and significantly heavier. And that's probably due to the internal battery and speaker. So you can see the difference here. The Key 37 it's probably not 50% bigger, but maybe 25% bigger. So another nostalgic thing for me are these buttons. This kind of does also make this reminiscent of the MPC 1000 for me. Just like the MPC One, it shares those plastic clicky buttons. So it really does kind of take me back. So I want to explore the top panel and just look at everything that we have as far as knobs and buttons and stuff. All right, so I'm gonna look at this from left to right. First of all, we do have the volume knob on top. This is like the MPC Live 2. And that's really nice to have. It's a nice little convenience, but it's funny to even feel that way because if you experience using the older MPCs like myself, like a 1000, all of those MPCs though, if you look at them, previous to that had rec and volume knobs at the top. So we got the rec knob on the back, whatever. So it's funny, something they took away as a standard and now, you know, we kind of have a new standard, but whatever. One thing I don't like, the fact that the octave buttons are right here above the pitch and modulation wheel. I think it would be much more convenient. I don't know if they thought about this and decided against it, but I would say that it's better to have them down here closer to what you're doing playing so that you can switch through octaves. Since this is not a full-size keyboard, it's nice to be able to quickly move around through octaves while you're playing. So now looking at this section of buttons over here by the pads, which are conveniently set here, I think it's good. We have a lot of stuff that, you know, pertains that is relevant to the pads. First, we have track mutes and pad mutes. We have copy, delete, full level, 16 levels, half level, erase, and no repeat. And this is pretty much set up just like the MPC One, although I believe they added the track mutes here. It's in a different section on the MPC One. And then they switched like the order of these. So the copy on the MPC One is below the 16 levels. Right here below the screen is where you start seeing a little added benefit of having one of the keyboards. So along with the MPC Key 61, we have a sounds button that also has the shift or double click secondary function of favorites. So sounds is cool because I can say I'm on a plug-in track. I can just press sounds and go through and pick a sound that I like. And say I like that sound. It's one of my favorite sounds. I want to make it a favorite. I could double click this. And then all you got to do is press and hold one of these empty boxes. And then your favorite will be added there. Easy enough to delete it. Same deal. Just press and hold. Then you get a little prompt. Clear. Next to that, I got the menu button. So this will bring you to the icons for all the different menus, different screens and all that. This is also editable. So if there's certain icons that you use the most, certain windows that you use the most, you can go ahead and just switch them around by pressing that edit button. Say I want to like put sample edit here and I want to move some different things here. Let's say the looper, whatever, song mode. And I recommend if you have like some key menus that you use most often, like they're the go-tos, put them in this left row here. So that's convenient because you can, when you exit, see I press the main button that's next to there. When you're here on the main screen, you can pull this little window out and it'll have all your favorited menu icons so you can quickly get to them. All right, so main can be used to click into your track view. This is a screen I don't really use too much of, but it shows you all your tracks that you have. You can create new tracks from here. Main. So moving on, next to it is the edit. So this will edit your plugin, instrument, or drum program parameters, any parameter that's in there. And then double click, you get the XY effect screen. I think this is a great place to have this. We have a grid button so you can see all your notes. Piano roll and all that, so you can edit notes, manually. And then fittingly, you got step sequence as the secondary functions. And this is very handy. It's nice to have a mix button, which you can toggle. And if I was on, say, a drum program, I can toggle between individual pads or the whole program, and then add effects and all that there. All right, so moving up here, of course, I got my 4 Q links, and then I have my Q link button, which toggles over to every 4 sets of Q links. And here's a quick tip. The Q links have like this touch sensitivity, which is good because it pulls up the screen whenever you touch a Q link, and it tells you what is the parameter that you're affecting with that knob. At times it might get in the way of your screen, and it might be like kind of frustrating, bothersome. It is a function. It is a setting that you can turn off. So if you press and hold the Q link button, there's a show Q link status area that's highlighted. So if you click that, that'll make that disappear. So once you've kind of figured out what these Q links do, then you're set. You can turn that off. Also get familiar with the fact that you have these different presets, and you can click through them. So screen really is good to have on, which is always on by default. And the function of the Q links change as you go from screen to screen, whether you're chopping samples or you're in effect, those things will change. One of the other I won't go too deep into this, that I use though is pad scene. Pad scene is cool because what I can do is these Q links on this first light will now affect some really basic mix functions. So say I have some sounds here, I can turn the volume down with this, and then I can do some panning with my second knob. So I like that for some really quick on the fly mixing or leveling of my sounds. Yeah, under the Q link button, we got the undo redo button, which I think is a great placement for that, in contrast to having your erase here. So, you can work the erase with your left hand, undo with your right. Below that, automation on off, just turn your automation on to right, on to read. Simple as that. Below that is your timing correct on off. This is great. I like that you can just do a double click, turns your quantization on, turns it off quickly. You can click it once, and then you can have access to your preferred settings, change that up to suit whatever your needs are. And then I'm going to move over here before I look at the bottom button. So like I said, a lot of these buttons are just like the MPC ONE Plus, but they might be labeled a little bit different, or they have also different shift secondary button functions. But yeah, here at the top, we have a load button that shares the looper. It's kind of a weird combination. I believe on the MPC ONE Plus, this is called browser button. Below it, you have a save function. So we don't have that here because we actually have a dedicated save button with a secondary function to save as, and I think that's really nice. And then this is really suiting sample edit with its secondary function as a sampler. Double click on your sampler, click once, and you're editing samples. So that's dope. All right, so moving down to these buttons right here, I think this is where we move into like the exclusive territory to the MPC Key 61 and the 37, even more so, I believe. So we have an ARP function with a latch. ARP is cool. Turn that on. Right. You do a double click. You can, change the settings of the ARP however you want them to play out. You can latch that. So let's go out. We turn it on. Latch, let go. If you turn latch off, only plays while you're holding it. So that's dope. Metronome, of course. Hey, this is not exclusive to just the Key 61 and the MPC Key 37, but we got it on the live. I believe on the one. Well, maybe not on the live, but on the one. But moving over, we have actually, before we move over to keyboard control, I want to look at this secondary function, which I believe is just exclusive to the MPC Key 37. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I tried to do a little bit of research and see if it was on the 61, and I can't quite remember when I had it. But what this does is it just creates like user custom chords, and you'll find this on other like MIDI controllers. So it's probably not something that I would use, but just to demonstrate it, you hold shift. What you do is got to make your own chord. So say I make a chord like this. Let me turn that ARP off. Make a chord like this, hold shift and press chords. You can see keyboard chord is now on. And now when I press a single key, it'll play a chord. And turn that off, just do the same, I believe. Just press the chord button. shift chord off. All right, so the next function it's exclusive to the Key 61 and the Key 37, which I think is actually pretty dope, the keyboard control. Now, for me, like, I only know how to play like in 2 different keys, like the key of C major, I believe, where it's just, and I can kind of improvise in this and make beats out of this. That's all the white keys, so that's easy to play. And then, you know, I play, like, I think this is like a C sharp minor, but I'm just learning these things. I got a real strong desire to play the piano, always have, and I just never really took the time to kind of nurture that skill. But I feel like this is going to help me out, because keyboard control, what it can do is you can go in here, you can go to scale filter, and you can pick a different key, change that. Let's say, let me go key of D, leave it at natural minor, and you can switch this from the scale filter, the filter input, from as played, which just means it's just all chromatic, everything's there. You can switch this all the way over to filter scale. What the filter scale will do is, if there's a note in that scale, you'll be able to hear it on the key, and if there isn't, the key will not play any sound. So just like that, I could take this and practice this scale, and every time I hit a note that's not in it, I will know that that's wrong. And over time, I can kind of develop and build the library of scales that I know within my head. So I think that's a real dope function of these keyboards, because maybe you're not going to use that function to make beats. Maybe you do want to take that shortcut and make beats where, you know, you don't really have to think about what keys are in the scale. But also look at it as a very good learning tool. So the MPC can now teach you how to play scales if you really want to, if you settle down and look at it like that. There you go. That's the vid. That's all I got time for. Glory to y'all. Give it a thumbs up if you appreciate it. I want to know what y'all thinking. Are you going to be picking this up? If you want to look at the specs yourself, there is a link in the description to a Zounds affiliate. So if you do purchase, it does help out the channel. I appreciate that. But just leaving a comment, you know, engaging. At the very least, I love engaging and talking about this stuff. I'm a real nerd when it comes to music gear. So pretty much all I talk about, music gear, writing music. So who is this for? In my opinion, since people seem to have so many opinions, I think I share mine. I think it's dope that there are so many options now that can fit everybody's preferences. This is my preference over using an MPC ONE with a keyboard, just because it's so focused. Like, I feel like having the keyboard to the side kind of gets me out of that. This is nice. It's what I've experienced so far. It's having the sounds button, going in, playing around. That's not the sound. Go grab another one. I'm still going. I'm still zoned in like this, and I'm moving. So to me, that alone is dope, and it's worth the cost of it. Aside from that, I think people who are keyboard players, keyboard centered people, you might be finger drumming centered kind of person. So the other ones are for that, you know? So if you're skilled, or whether you're not skilled at keyboards, but you want to improve, you got room for improvement. Like I said, that keyboard control function, I really think that's going to help me learn some scales and improve my abilities. So yeah, like myself, you got limited space and room for improvement on your keyboard skills. That's going to be dope. So yeah, that's all I got to say. I appreciate y'all. Until next time, stay humble, lift noise, and keep on rolling with your dreams. God bless.